It all started during the pandemic. I think it was the year 2021 or something. My little sister and I moved into my mum's house due to reasons of my dad moving away for work. The house was okay for most, nothing out of the ordinary. That was until strange things started happening. Doors started opening and closing on their own, people walking around the house despite me being alone, and hearing your name being called even though no one was there. But it wasn't something I couldn't handle, so I just shrugged it off. And this particular night, I couldn't fall asleep, which is weird because usually around this time of night, I would be blacked out. I felt a presence watching me. Now I normally don't get scared easily, but this time, I felt like crapping my pants. So in an attempt to distract myself, I scrolled aimlessly on my phone. Maybe I was just imagining things. Soon I drifted into my night slumber. At around 2:47 a.m, I woke up with the urge of using the restroom. I walked down and out of my room, but went into an immediate halt when I saw a lady. What was she doing standing against my bedroom door's frame? Sure, it was creepy, but I pushed those thoughts aside and went to the restroom. I walked back. She was still there, aimlessly staring at me with her dead eyes and eerily creepy smile. I rubbed my eyes. I blinked twice. She was still there. I jumped on my bed and hid inside the blankets. I dared not to look at her. I went into a silent prayer. She was still there. I wanted to cry so badly. She was drawing nearer by the second. I continued on with my silent prayer, praying for her to leave me alone. She loomed over me and started to choke me. I couldn't breathe. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, kicking and squirming my arms and legs. Next thing I know it, my mum came in to check on me, and she disappeared. She said it was probably a nightmare. I knew it was more than that. I haven't heard or seen her since, but I still know she's lurking in the depths of this house, preying on me and getting ready to pounce at any moment. I just wanted to share a story that happened to me. I wanted to share this story to spread an awareness and to see if anyone else has had this happen to them. It was a very disturbing and chilling event. I was with my older brother in my basement. I was about 16, 17 or so, probably 2020 era, around midnight. I remember this happening during the COVID-19 lockdown, so probably just after the fall because it was a winter night. I was with my older brother playing some Nintendo Switch when someone called my brother with a 1-800 number, which is a long distance from where we live, Canada. I told him to answer the phone. After some hesitation, I told him to answer it and put it on speaker. We thought it would be a voice-recorded message or a scammer trying to get something out of us. We answered the phone and greeted the person on the other line. And there was nothing heard. About 5 seconds later, a distressed and panicked voice of a woman was heard. I remember her saying these exact words.
"Hello? Is someone there? Please help me. Please help me."
And she started hysterically crying and sobbing on the other end. She started hyperventilating, and almost like a manic screaming started. I had absolutely no idea what to do, because I was so frozen in fear. We declined the call, and I've never answered an unknown caller again. I don't know. Is this some kind of sick troll? Was she genuinely in danger? Was she going through an episode, or did she have some kind of mental health disorder? I don't know, and I never will. But it still freaks me out. Earlier in the year, I had a weird experience. Before I tell my story, let me just say, it takes me nearly 2 hours to fall asleep each night. Trust me, I was still awake. I don't have any sleeping issues/conditions. Besides, it takes me a long time to fall asleep. As we all know, Once we turn off all the lights in our bedroom, it's total darkness. Then after 5 to 10 minutes, our eyes adjust and it's no longer total darkness. When my experience occurred, it wasn't total darkness. Here's my story. As I'm laying down, staring at the ceiling, my vision suddenly changed. I saw total darkness, the darkest black you could possibly see, and special white lights. The lights were white, the same color as a flashlight torch. The best way I can describe it is, it was like looking up in the dark sky and watching fireworks go off, except the lights were white. Honestly, it was a beautiful sight that lasted about 5 seconds. After about 2 seconds of witnessing this, out loud I said, "WTF?" Then in my head, I asked myself, what just happened? I honestly was not scared, just confused. I could attempt to draw what I saw to show you guys, but it would come out looking horrible. I desperately want to tell this story to someone who is extremely experienced, so I can get an answer on what this means. I'm no stranger to unexplained/paranormal experiences. I have another interesting story that I will share tomorrow regarding a small ball of electricity, a ball that was about half the size of a tennis ball. Although short, I hope you guys enjoyed my story. I want to share a real experience that I had about 7 years ago. This might not be as interesting as it could be because it's real. I'm not trying to make things up for the sake of entertainment. I just want to get this off my chest, as it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. Around the age of 19, I was disqualified from the military due to a medical disqualification. I wasn't too sure what to do with my life since this was a lifelong dream. I felt very lost. I did a lot of soul searching during this time, studied many religions and philosophies. At some point I got into occultism, law of attraction, meditation, and finally astral projection. To keep it short, I started meditating to attract into my life the things that I wanted, and I also started to practice astral projection. After a few weeks, my aunt started to come into my room, scared, and began to question what I was doing. I told her that I was meditating quite frequently, sometimes up to 3 hours a day. Why was she asking? She told me that something very weird had just happened in the house. In fact, for a few days now, several weird things had been happening. She told me while they were watching TV, the front door of the house unlocked itself, and the door had just been slammed open. They told me things had just been falling off counters, and my uncle had been seeing things from the corner of his eyes. She didn't tell me to stop. She actually seemed intrigued. My aunt is into crystals and all kinds of groovy-doo stuff. I kept this going. I wasn't able to astral project yet, but I was able to get parts of my body to leave. As weird as that sounds, I was able to remove my arm from my arm. It's a very odd feeling to describe. It feels like your arms are paralyzed. Yet another one you can fully manipulate and feel it coming out of it. I was also able to do this with my right leg. For those of you who are not understanding what astral projection is, it means leaving your body. I'm not sure if your soul leaves your body or you project it mentally. All I know is that it's very real, but it's a thing. Supposedly, you are able to soul travel by doing this. In any case, a couple weeks go by and my uncle and aunt need to be gone for a couple days, and I have the house to myself. So what do? Have a girl over like any other normal dude would? No, I meditate and try to leave my body. At this point, I'm obsessed. For the first time, I fall asleep while meditating, and what proceeds to happen is one of the most traumatic and terrifying things to ever happen to me. Who am I kidding? It's by far the most terrifying experience of my life, and it haunts me to this day. This is the part of the story I don't like telling anyone, because they dismiss it as a nightmare, or it's just sleep paralysis, bro. I don't care what you decide what to call what I'm about to tell you. If you want to label it as fake, it was more real than life to me. I have astral projected a few times. I never saw anything very interesting other than my own home. freaking out my dogs, and mostly what I do is fly over lakes, factories, and cities at night. I can never do it for very long. I have not mastered it, and nowadays I avoid the practice altogether, although it happens involuntarily from time to time. What I experienced in this instance was different. It felt more physical, it felt more real, and I was attacked by God knows what. I wake up, laying flat on my bed, facing up, arms wide open and legs spread apart. The TV is on. The show Ink Master is running. It's night, but the room has a natural light to it, almost like a full moon. I see a shadow in the corner of the room. I try to get up, but I can't move. I'm paralyzed. I start being able to move, but I feel heavy, like trying to swim underwater. The shadow gets closer to me, and then crawls on top of my body. This is embarrassing to say, and I usually leave this part out of the story. This thing proceeds to put its hands between my legs and press and squeeze, I feel immense physical pain. There is actually something groping my body and really hurting me. I try to scream, but I can't. I start saying, "The power of Christ compels you," over and over, but it does nothing. My back starts to bend in an arch, and I'm slightly levitating over my bed. Everything is happening very silently, which allows me to hear very loud footsteps coming from the kitchen. While this is all happening, a man walks from the kitchen into my room. I can barely see or look, but he is a middle-aged man wearing a suit. Looks very old-fashioned. After several attempts of asking, my words finally come out. "Who are you?" The man standing in the corner of the room states, "My name is Luca." I then asked, concerned, "Lucifer?" He then states, "No, Luca." The painful back arching and floating continues for a while, when suddenly it stops. I fall on my bed, and it's suddenly daylight. Ink Master is still on, and I can hear birds chirping. I never woke up from this, like waking up from a dream. It simply stopped, and I was still awake. I spent the entire day looking things up online, trying to make sense of what happened. When it came night again, the same thing happens again. The same entity, or whatever it is, grips me the same way and hurts me. You've got to understand, the pain is very physical and excruciating. I can feel its hands and fingers, and this time I'm very pissed off. For one reason or another, this time I'm not afraid, and I start trying to strangle it. I start asking it, "Get me out of my body so I can murder it." And suddenly, it all stops, just like that. After this second episode, it never happened again. From time to time, I am still attacked by an entity that looks like me, and am forced to fight it. But these are more like vivid nightmares. Nothing like the situation I just described. I quit meditating, I quit trying to astral project, and this situation never happened again. I still involuntarily astral project in my sleep sometimes, but it's very uneventful. I don't see other entities or have bad or good things happen. I just float over a lake near my house and enjoy the view for the most part. Maybe there's more I could share, but I think I have shared enough. Thanks for getting this far.